Hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, then we should be starting.
Today, block 3, unit 3.
So is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. So our block 3 has 3 units, 9, 10 and 11. The first unit is Introduction to Sustainable Development. Okay, so I have already said before what is sustainable development. Okay, that I don't think so you need a more definition of what is a sustainable development is. That I have already discussed before. So sustainable means developing at a cost that doesn't hamper our future generation or our nature. That's what sustainable is. Means to develop not at the cost of destroying the nature or the future generation coming. Okay. So the expansion of human civilization is how to develop, and development is the key to survival. Also, so industrialization has become the indicators of development, and finally we are evolved into 3 major categories of countries: where is developed, developing, and underdeveloped on the degree of industrialization. So the reckless development process created avoidable issues and problems around the world. See, this is avoidable. Means we could have avoided this easily, but we have created it. So human exploiting the resource around us more than our need and requirements. And the people of developed countries follow highly unsustainable lifestyle and unsustainable population growth. Growth rate in the developing and underdeveloped countries throws more pressure to the limited resource of the earth. Okay, so the problem is the developed country and the developing country are misutilizing the resources. Okay, due to which our sustainable development becomes unsustainable. So development of sustainability. So the concept of development of sustainability is not new, and it is an old as human civilization. So development is basically a process to build a basic where human tries to make its own comfort. Or sustainability in a simple language is to manage the availability of the stock. Okay, as I told you, how to utilize what we have in a sustainable manner means in a useful manner, not in a greed. So the best evidence we have seen was the Indus and the Harappa civilization. By learning from the collapse of the old civilization, we need to strengthen our responsibility for managing our surroundings. So these old civilizations also collapse because they become unsustainable. that we should be learning from them. So by learning lessons from the collaborator, we need to strengthen our responsibility for managing our surroundings. We have already crossed 7.6 billion in July 2018 on this limited phase of the planet. Increasing numbers are directly related to the increased demand for human needs. The different studies on population, resources, linkage argued about the limit to available resources in the future. In the UN Stockholm Conference on Human and Environment, that opened the door for a global committee effort to sustainability of our very planet. So the year 1983 marks a new beginning by constituting World Commission on Environmental Development, WCED, under United Nations, and the Commission submitted its report, Our Common Future, in 1987 and gave the definition as sustainable development is development by meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generation to meet their own needs. So this should always be our goal. We should meet what we are needing now without compromising what they need in the future. Means their needs should also be taken into care. These summits and everything I have already discussed in the previous classes. Then come to dimensions of sustainable development. The first is in view of the progress and increased degradation of the environmental quality, and mainly this diminution and exhaustion of essential natural resources without which no development is feasible. The succeeding generation will not be able to meet their own needs for their development or even survival. So the succeeding generation progressively will have lesser and lesser resources, leading to gross intergeneration inequality. Not just the terrestrial resources, but the marine and aquatic resources also are being degraded, polluted, or unsustainably exploited. So every major oil spill leaves large number of marine organisms and seabirds dead, morbids and otherwise incaptivated in some manner. So significant loss of coastal livelihood, leading to accumulation of food insecurity and hunger. So the simple logic of human environment interdependence is the flow of energy and material. This is why we have seen, this is what we have seen as economy. Thus, if we look this flow of energy from either the lens of ecocentric or anthropocentric approaches, there exist three main pillars: human, environment, and economy. So first is human or society. So ages depending on the environment for its survival. And the environment gives us the resources we need, that is the food, the air, and the water. So human, with the growing knowledge, adding more and more needs to increase the level of its comfort, thereby affecting the quality and quantity of the available resources. So the increasing number of human population added more demand to the environment. So the level of comfort is again measured through the lens of economic value, that is wealth. So wealth has become one of the indicators to show power. So this is where we are becoming unsustainable. So every individual or nation wants to gather more wealth to show their power and strengthen to the society. This is affecting the flow of human environmental relationships. Thus, the major objective of sustainable development should be to strengthen the linkage of the basic three pillars or dimension of sustainability development, that is environment, economic, and social. Then environmental sustainability. Environment is the source of everything we need. So composed of living and non-living components. We also look for anthropocentric approaches. Human is in the center of the environment, that maintains everything. If we look for ecocentric point of view, in the present era, we are the destructor of the environment. When the value of environment was a medium to survive, we are a good manager. So the need is to understand how to maintain the quality of our environment. In social inclusion, the dimension social inclusion means all humans of the planet Earth must obtain their basic needs and derive a feeling that they have a fair share of wealth, safety, and influence. The individual gain is not the objective, but the provision for the involvement in equitability growth for all in the society. In other words, the social inclusion aims and good life for all humans within the present and the future generation. Then economic prosperity. The dictionary meaning of prosperity is the state of being prosperous. A general concept is that, yes?
Sir, SDG, Sustainable Development Goal. Now, what is that? SDG.
I did not got you.
No, what is the full form of SDG? I'm asking. Here.
SDG.
Sustainable.
SDG is Sustainable Development Goals. Yes. SDG
Okay.
is Sustainable Development Goals.
Okay, thank you,
Okay.
sir.
Yes. Like here SDG 6, Sustainable Development Goal 6, fresh water supply, SDG 11, Sustainable Cities, SDG 12, Sustainable Production and Consumption, SDG 13, Climate Safety, SDG 14, Conservation of Marine Ecosystem, SDG 15, Conservation of Terrestrial Ecosystem, SDG 1, No Poverty, and SDG 2, Zero Hunger. So there are different, I think there are 20 sustainable goals, okay, out of which 15 importance are given here. That you can search in net and also get it. What are the sustainable development goals?
No, we have read it MEVE-11. This one I remember.
Yes. SDG 3, good health and well-being. SDG 4, quality education. SDG 5, gender equality. SDG 10, reducing inequality. SDG 16, freedom from violence. And some of the SDGs to achieve social inclusion. Then economic prosperity. Okay, so means state of being prosperous. So a general conception is that you are prosperous when you are earning enough money and making you more successful. So the prosperity looks for economic dimension. Traditionally, economic development has been seen as a target or the objective, and the environment as a tool through use of natural resources. So in fact, sustainability is about an obligation to future generations towards meeting their needs, and it is necessarily about intergenerational allocation. This implies that our economic system should be carefully managed in such a way that we live off the dividend of our resources, maintaining and improving the assets basis so that the generation that succeed will be able to manage as well as the present generation. We can achieve prosperity when the quality of environment is good, society is free from hunger and poverty with security, livelihood for all. So SDG 1, end of poverty. SDG 2, end of hunger. SDG 3, health for all. SDG 4, education for all. SDG 6, water and sanitation for all. SDG 7, modern energy for all. SDG 8, decent job for all. And SDG 9, modern infrastructure for all. Then good governance. Ensuring environmental sustainability, bringing economic prosperity, and achieving social inclusion are the interconnection and interdependent to each other. And thus, good governance has become the fourth pillar of sustainable development. In good governance, the interaction of state and non-state actors are put in center of policy making. It also implies that governments are following the rules of laws, are accountable to their citizens, and administers justice in a fair manner. Non-state organizations are proactively involved and part of the government system. Consequently, they cooperate with other countries. Good governance is at the core of SDG 16, rule of law, absence of corruption, and SDG 17, global cooperation and partnership for the SDGs. It is also explicitly addressed in SDGs such as 10 on social and political equality or 5 on gender equality. SDG 16 is not only a goal in itself but also an enabler for other SDGs. Good and inclusive governance is thus seen as a precondition and aligning vision of local, national, and global common welfare. Then sustainable development model. This simplifies representation of a real situation in terms of model. Okay. The first is three-pillar model. The new paradigm of development, as we call sustainable development, has three main aspects, namely economic, social, and environment. These are the three pillars. These three main aspects are also called as three pillars. Okay. So here, these three main aspects are also called as three pillars or dimension of sustainability or three-circle model. It is shown in figure 1. Okay. These are the three pillars: economic, social, and environmental. Okay. It's based on basic aspect of human society, but does not explicitly take into account human quality of life. The three-pillar triangle basic model of sustainability. So first is the capital stock model. The capital stock model says that if we live only of the interest and not the capital, the basic of prosperity is maintained. Means if we think that nature is a bank in which we invest something and only utilize the interest, not the investment amount, then we'll always live in prosperity. However, if we consume the substances, our means of existence is endangered in long term. But if we, instead of consuming only the interest, we consume the invested amount also, then it becomes unsustainability. In long run, we will not be able to survive. It talks about ecological capital, the planning process, including biodiversity, landscape, mineral resources, clean air and healthy water, and human and society capital, equity to health, social security, social cohesion, freedom, justice, equality of opportunity, and peace. The model proposes the following questions: capital stock of sustainable development, CSD, capital stock of the environment, CEN, plus capital stock of economy, CEC, plus capital stock of the society, CS. The egg model. The International Development Research Center, IDRC, in London, proposed the egg of sustainability, which originally designed in 1994 by the International Union of Conservation Nature, IUCN. The egg of sustainability illustrates the relationship between people and ecosystem as one circle inside another, like the yolk of an egg. Okay, so it means the relation between the people and the ecosystem. We are not separate, we are same. This implies that people are within the ecosystem and that ultimately one is entirely dependent upon the other. So the hypothesis, sustainable development is human well-being plus ecosystem well-being. So we cannot go for we cannot achieve sustainable development only by one development. We have to go for both. Human development or human well-being side by side, ecosystem well-being or ecosystem development also. Social and economical development can only take place if the environment offers the necessary resources, raw materials, space for new production site and jobs, constitutional qualities, recreational health, etc. Ecosystem is therefore to be regarded as a superordinated system to the other dimension of the triangle or prism model: social, economical, and institutional. These latter can only prosper if they have adapted themselves to the limit of environmental carrying capacity. So this is the ecosystem, this is the egg model, this is the ecosystem. Okay, total ecosystem is the cell of the egg. Inside it, we people are the yolk. So if we have to do sustainable development, we both have to live in harmony. Okay, so that we do not take much of the yolk white as a yolk. We as a yolk should not take advantage of the yolk white. Okay. So as with any equation, the above hypothesis of IUCN appears to be too simple. This implies that the environment is not the superior ordinary system, but it allows that sustainable development can occur if human well-being goes up more than ecosystem well-being falls. Thus, the equation does not show that humanity well-being depends on ecosystem well-being and sustainable development as a whole. Okay, both well-being of human and ecosystem will lead to sustainable development. Then indicators. So we all know what are indicators. That shows indicate what a situation is like or level of something. Post Brundtland period, the concept of sustainability became one of the key political principles for most of the nations around the world, and sustainability indicators as a basic approach to provide the progress towards a broad range of social, environmental, and economic goals. Thus, the United Nations was mandated by the Rio Summit to establish a set of indicators of sustainable development in order to put the Agenda 21 in practice and to monitor the progress. Chapter 40 of Agenda 21, introducing the development of sustainable indicators in 1995. The UN Committee on Sustainability Development (CSD) became the first to work on the development of sustainability indicator in goal level and set 134 indicators, which was reduced to 58 indicators to 31 based on feedback of participating countries. Consequently, with the European nations, sustainable development was introduced in 1997, Article 2 of Amsterdam Treaty, and the European Environment Agency (EEA) and Eurostat, the Statistical Office of the European Union, gave efforts to establish why to measure proper progress through indicators. Then so the simplest way of the concept of defining and developing sustainable development can broadly be placed in two categories: weak and strong sustainability. So what are the weak indicators? The concept of weak sustainability is based on neoclassical economic theory and assumes that manufactured and natural capitals are close substitutes. This means that cost of environment deterioration, example forest damage, can be compensated by benefits from manufactured capital, for example income. Thus, environmental damage are valuable in monetary unit. Example of weak sustainable indicators are damage cost calculation, which can be found in several studies of social cost, concept of integrated environment and economic accounting, green GDP, or multidimensional social economic indices like the Index of the Sustainability Economic Welfare (ISEW). Damage cost calculation try to quantify the external effect of environmental pollution. The methodology is based on welfare theory and cost-benefit analysis. Then, strong indicators. The concept of strong sustainability denies the degree of substitutions that weak sustainable assumes that at least for some critical elements of natural capital in strong sustainability concept, the scale has to be measured in absolute physical limits: eco capacity, material intensity per unit series, pressure state responsible indicators, and amoeba indicators. Up to now, several concepts and the set of indicators are being proposed that can broadly be divided into two: the economic strategies and the ecological strategies. So the economic strategies focus on getting price right and income derived from the economic strategies. Which are measured in monetary units, like example sustainable income or green GDP. Then the ecological strategy analysis the impact of economic activities and ecological system by keeping ecosystem intact. So protection of natural resources, natural ability like ecological stability and ecological resilience. Okay. So that is your economy, socially. So they are the measures in the physical units and quantity, and they hold a critical ecological and functional. Example of such indicators are critical load quantity deposition, which have many significant negative impacts on the ecosystem. And this one, these amoeba indicators, they mainly includes your, you can say, indicators of environmental condition, especially water quality and ecosystem health. Water quality, ecosystem health, pollution, hydrology, trophic state, wetland restoration, sampling and identification. These comes under your amoeba indicators. Then come to unit 10. Sustainability and development challenges. So the previous unit we have studied about the sustainable development and the terms related to sustainable development, and the various models have been explicitly described. Okay. So in this unit we will discuss about the challenges facing the idea of sustainability. The first is objective, defining the concepts of sustainability and sustainable development, developing an understanding of Millennium Development Goal and Sustainable Development Goal, explaining the cross-cutting issues of 21st century, analyzing the global, regional and national issues, discuss SDGs in Indian context. Okay, the first is sustainability and sustainable development. Sustainability means to ensure into a long-term future. It refers to the systems and processes that are able to operate and persist on their own over a long period of time. The word sustainable means able to continue without interruption or able to endure without failing. The term sustainability comes from the Latin verb sustainer, to maintain, sustain, support, endure, made from the roots sub, up from below, or tends to hold. Human is a part of interlinked system, man and nature. Therefore, the study of sustainability goes beyond environmentalism. A key characteristic of the field is an acknowledgement of three-dimensional interrelated to each other. economic, social, and ecological. So all these things, three things, should come taken into account to know the sustainability. The earth is facing many issues, including, just a minute. Okay, sorry for the interruption. Okay, so where were we? Okay, so the was able to continue without interrupting the ability to ensure without failure. Okay, so human are the part of the system of man and nature. Therefore, the study of sustainability goes beyond environmentalism. Obviously, we are directly related to the environment. So just the study of environment is not enough for us. So a key characteristics of the field is an acknowledgement of three dimensions interrelated each other: economic, social, and ecological. The earth is facing many issues that are interconnected, including poverty, crippled health, population explosion, resource depletion and deterioration, water and food stress, political turmoil, and the imbalance of life support system we all are dependent upon. So scholars argument about whether poverty is a consequence of environmental deterioration or whether poverty is responsible for natural degradation, but it is admitted that they go hand in hand. It's very true. See, if the environmental is deteriorated, okay, then obviously you will fall ill. If you are falling ill, you have to go to the hospital. You have to spend money. So indirectly you are becoming poor, or poverty is the cause. Okay, environmental deterioration. Okay. Same way, So obviously when you are poverty, when you are poor, you will not go for sustainable things. You will go for cheaper things, and cheaper things may not be produced by sustainable way. So for your environmental degradation, poverty and sustainable development, they all go hand in hand. So one problem cannot be fixed in isolation of the other since all are linked to each other. Obviously these problems are interlinked to each other. The fair sustainable development represents the three pillars of environmental sustainability, economic opportunity and social inclusion. In 1980s, report titled World Conservation Strategy, a policy guidance by the International Union for Conservation of Nature, was the first international document to use this term. Another report published in the year 1987, formulated by the World Commission on Environment and Development, also known as Brundtland Commission report, made the term sustainable development more popular and defined it as a development that meets the needs of present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. These documents explicitly pointed out the interlinkage between economic, environment and equity. Sustainable development acknowledges the right to resource of all people, the present as well as the future generation. The dimension of economics, environment and equity have all been referred as the triple bottom line, a term coined by John Elkinston, an expert in the corporate responsibility. Since the early 1980s, the term sustainable development has been used extensively but without much effort been made to explain what is actually entitled. For example, in the SD, same things as sustainable economic growth, to what end should sustainability be pursued, should sustainability be perceived as economic or moral imperative or both. Furthermore, what are the nature of the resources, constraints and trade-offs that have to be recognized in any consideration of sustainability? So the above questions are raised to indicate the possibility that the phrase sustainable development could be used in many different contexts, with the possibility of being rendered a vague and misleading concept. Having the mentioned concern in mind, the United Nations agency constituted the World Commission on Environment and Development, also known as Brundtland Commission 1983, which came up with the report in 1987 talking about the definition and concept of sustainability. So society, economy and environment, all interlinking will lead to sustainable development. Okay, we cannot see to development of one thing. Okay, we have to combine all the three things, then only we can go for sustainable development. There are certain key attributes of the mentioned definition which worth indicating. Firstly, it comprehensively put the place SD, sustainable development, as the equity issues, conveying the idea that the economic of the SDs are mainly a normal goal, nominative goal. Secondly, WCED's definition of sustainable development takes ethical aspects as a critical criteria within the needs of the future generation, is not to be compromised at the expense present generation needs. It is dealing with intergenerational equity. Thirdly, the report focuses upon equity. It poses a question on the validity of standard economic analysis, which is exclusively based on efficiency. So as you realize, the interlinking between the three pillars of sustainability, namely the economy, equity and environment. Therefore, in an attempt to attain the goal of environmental sustainability, specific targets as part of sustainable development principles need to be integrated into country policies and programs. And the drafting and adopting of Millennium Development Goal in the year 2000 was one such attempt in this direction. So not only you can say countries, not only individuals, everyone need to what you can say everyone is needed to act upon so that we can attain sustainability. Otherwise, we will not be able to attain sustainability. Okay, not only efforts, but efforts from countries, efforts from our policymakers, efforts from our politicians, efforts from our individuals, efforts from everyone is required. Then only we can attain sustainable development. So what is the Millennium Development Goal? So after a series of conferences and summit undertaken over a decade, in the September 2000, world leaders agreed to adopt the United Nations Millennium Declaration. So participating nations set out a series of 8 time-bounded targets to achieve by 2015. These targets were 8 in number and came to be known as Millennium Development Goal or MDGs. What were the 8 goals? First is eradicating extreme poverty and hunger, which we were not able to do. Achieving universal primary education, up to some extent we have done it. Promote gender equality and empowerment, that we are trying. Reduce child mortality, that also we are trying. Improve maternal health, this also we are trying. Combat HIV, AIDS, malaria and other diseases, this is also we are trying. And ensure environmental sustainability. This is we are trying at our most. So as per the final report, MGD report, it was found that the 15 years effort has produced the most successful anti-poverty movement in the history. This is the maximum thing we have achieved, that is an anti-poverty movement in history. And the concept, efforts of national government, the international community, civil society and private sectors have helped expand hope and opportunity for people around the world. However, the tasks remain unfinished for millions of people. That's what I told. We are all keep on trying it. Nothing we have achieved. And much more remains to be done to end hunger, achieve full gender equality, improve health services and get every child into school. Now we must shift the world onto a sustainable path, and therefore a new, wider approach was adopted in the form of Sustainable Development Goal as a part of modified Sustainable Development Agenda. So what are the Sustainable Development Goals? SDGs are the sequel to the Millennium Development Goal that dominated global development thinking throughout the first decade and half of this century. Compared to the MDGs, the SDGs are elaborated. They are supposed to be goals from all countries rather than from poor countries alone. So in 2015, the goal community achieved a landmark by agreeing on the comprehensive development agenda under the rubric of Sustainable Development Goal SDGs, and the SDGs evolved from an extensive consultation process of the United Nations involving member countries, civil society, organizations, business community and other actors. Actually, it will be other factors, not actors. It will be F. So SDGs comprise 17 goals, which in turn have been broken into 169 targets. Okay, there are 17 SDG goals and 169 targets. Sustainable Development Goal SDGs, also known as global goals, were adopted by all United Nations member states in 2015 as a universal call to action to end poverty, protect the planet, and ensure that all people are enjoying peace and prosperity by 2030. I don't think so. It is possible. The 17 SDGs are integrated. They recognize that action in one area will affect outcome in another, and that development must balance social, economic, and environmental sustainability. The Global Sustainability Development Goal SDGs will guide policies and funding for the next 15 years, that is up to 2030, to end poverty everywhere permanently. Baba. Let's hope it does it. Next 5 years there will be end of poverty. The 17 SDGs are end poverty in all its form everywhere, end hunger, achieve food security and improve nutrition, and promote sustainable agriculture, ensure healthy lives and promote well-being of all at all ages, ensure inclusive and quality education for all and promote lifelong learning, achieve gender equality and empower women and girls, ensure access to water and sanitation for all, ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable and modern energy for all, promote inclusive and sustainable economic growth, employment and decent work for all, build resilient infrastructure, promote sustainable industrialization and foster innovation, reduce inequality within and among countries, make cities inclusion safe, resilient and sustainable, ensure sustainable consumption and production patterns, take urgent action to combat climate change and its impact, conserve and sustainable use of ocean, sea and marine resources, sustainable manage forest, combat desertification, halt and reverse land degradation, halt biodiversity loss, promote justice, peaceful and inclusive societies, revitalize a global partnership for sustainable development. So the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development as reflected in the 17 SDGs and 116 targets call for global partnership to ensure peace and prosperity for people and the planet now and into the future. So the pledge to leave no one behind, countries have committed a fast-track report for those further behind first. That is why the SDGs are designed to bring the world to several life-changing zero, including zero poverty, hunger, AIDS, and discrimination against women and girls. The progress towards these targets will be measured by indicators, as many targets are proposed to be measured by multiple indicators. The total number of indicators are greater than number of targets. Presumably, the indicators could be substituted depending on relevancy and statistical capacity. First is no poverty, zero hunger, these all I have already discussed, good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, decent work and economic growth, industrial innovation and infrastructure, reduce inequality, sustainable city and communities, responsible consumption and production, climate action, life below water, life on land, peace, justice and strong, then partnership for the goal. How SDGs will be achieved if government challenges crucial to the implementations are resolved. In simple talk, government's reference to how countries make decisions and execute them in a target manner. It is about the scheme we use to work together in society to solve shared problems. In context of the SDGs, governance involves how government, business, non-government organizations, NGOs, civil society and research will work together. Governance efforts in attending the SDGs also need an understanding of the cross-cutting issues of this century. Cross-cutting issues are the problem that cut across the implicable all aspects of the program and therefore require special attention. They are needed to be integrated into all stages of any development program and policies, which often is not the case. Some of the cross-cutting issues of the 21st century in the context of environmental sustainability have been discussed below. The first is bringing all government and stakeholders together on issue of global sustainability. This is our first goal. The present system of international environment governments involve multiple countries and multilateral agreements has evolved mainly during the 20th century. Experts believe that such a system is not suitable for the 21st century. Some commentators believe that this system lacks the necessary representativeness, accountability and effectiveness for the transition to sustainability, and that a much higher level of participation, transparency is needed. New model of governance such as public-private community partnership (PPCP) to form an alliance between environmentalists and other civil society groups are being tried. However, the effectiveness of new governance arrangement has not been fully established. developing new human capabilities for meeting global environmental challenges and moving towards a green economy will require different sets of new capital capabilities, in particular new job skills, mode of learning, management approaches, and research efforts. Action is also required to minimize the skill gaps in the green sector, update education institutions to better meet educational needs for sustainable work, train managers to better identify and respond to global environment challenges, and encourage researchers to address the sustainability challenge. Aligning policies with science to handle global environment change, our society needs strategies and policies that are underpinned by strong scientific and technological base. But many experts believe that linking between the policy and scientific community is inadequate or even reduced, and that the gap has become an obstacle in developing new solutions to global environment changes. Promoting transformative changes in human behavior towards environment. New social science researchers have articulated the way in which damaging human behavior can be transformed by public policies in a positive direction within a relatively short period of time. For example, there has been transformation of public opinion about smoking of cigarette, BD, which switches from being a fashionable activity to a dangerous health hazard within one generation in many countries, including India. Can these insights also be applicable to transforming habits of consumption that lead to destruction or environmental changes with public incentives, economic, informatives, and our prohibitions work best to achieve these transformations? Managing slow, gradual environmental changes. Human interventions with nature does not cause an accelerated deterioration of environment but leads to gradual, step-by-step, and increased degradation of natural environment. For instance, depletion of stratospheric erosion, widespread deforestation, destruction of mangrove vegetation, species loss and extinction, etc. Therefore, if eventually tracking systems are required to identify a change on time to prevent them from becoming environmental hotspots. Handling migration, various researchers have suggested that environmental changes will become an important factor in the displacement of people. Environmental changes including both rapid onset events, such as more frequently of intense coastal and river flooding, slow onset process such as land degradation and sea level rise. These can be different response to environmental led migration, such as incorporating plans for coping with migration into national adaptable plans, farming, refarming nations, and international irrigation policy in such a way as to include environmental migration, improving prediction of migration, and trying to mitigate the underlying causes of environmental migration. Then issues related to climate change. Impact of climate change and frequency of extreme events. So plenty of new studies have confirmed their hypothesis that climate change could alter the frequency, strength and distribution of extreme events. For example, studies have linked global warming with increased risk of flooding in Maldives and Fiji, with increased summer rainfall, variability in southeast United States, and with the intensification of heavy precipitation events over much of the land areas of the northern hemisphere. These new findings undergoes the need to adapt to the changing frequency of extreme events and suggest that medium-term early warning system might be possible. Managing the undesirable consequences of climate change and adaptation. When scaling up, mitigation and adaptation measures may have unintended consequences. For example, disruption in the migratory behavior of birds due to large-scale wind farms, New gigantic sea walls will protect the population but destroy the population by will protect the population but may destroy the population but may also eliminate resources like marshland and wetland, and extensive geoengineering schemes could have many undesired effects. These potential negative side effects should be eliminated and then diminished or prevented in order to maintain support from the climate policies. Melting of ice caps and glaciers across the globe. Many glaciers have started retreating and some have an accelerated rate of melting. These changes present threat to many peoples and ecosystems, especially in the Himalayan region, parts of Central Asia and Andes. Threats incorporating the risk of flooding from the natural dam holding back glaciers lake, as well as subsequent decrease of runoff during dry season is in some regions. So a much enhanced understanding of the hydrological reactions and social and economic impact of glacier withdrawal is needed, and the development of adjacent strategies is equally urgent. Issue related to freshwater and marine life, reducing the pollution and depletion of inland water, deteriorating quality of water in rivers, channel alteration, habitat fragmentation, over-exploitation of fishes, and some of the threat putting the freshwater ecosystem and inland fisheries in developing countries at stake. But as underdeveloped countries are heading towards widespread degradation of their freshwater resources, they can attempt to curtail their degradation by adopting of sophisticated technology and techniques of water management, which the developed countries did not have access to developed when they have just begun to pollute their freshwater resources. Then oceanic pollution. Ocean provides many Earth system functions, including the regulation of climate and hydrological cycle, as well as providing habitat for a rich diversity of organisms and food material and energy for human use. But the ocean environment is facing an increased threat to its long-term integrity, including acidification, overfishing, land and marine waste pollution, widespread habitat destruction, and proliferation of invasive species. Then proper management of wasteland interface. Recent scientific research have provided a new view on how water and land interact, local to global. For example, scientists now better understand the extent to which change in land use profoundly affects the downwind rainfall pattern and how computed to huge volume of water appropriate transferred or overlapped by society to produce rain-fed crops, blue versus green water flow. This new knowledge provides a new impetus for bringing water and land management closer together. Coastal zone management. Increasing pressure for the exploitation of coastal resources is significant in coastal ecosystem. So building tourism, tourist resort, industries, extraction of resources, agriculture, fisheries, and trades have concentrated in and around the coastal zone. Hence, sensitive and highly valuable coastal ecosystem, deltas, estuaries, and marshes are exposed to ongoing degradation. The current management approaches are not adequate to seize the tide of deterioration. Therefore, an adaptive and integrated governance approach is required that necessitates the delegation of management rights and authority in such a manner that promotes the involvement of all stakeholders. Issues pertaining to food security and land. Challenges in safeguarding the food security and safety of the world population. Though food processing security have been a persistent issue, a new kind of challenges need to be faced by the world, such as global climate changes, aggravated water scarcity, increased competition for land from agriculture and industrial expansion, occupancy for residential purpose, and deficient of phosphorus like fertilizer. So incidences of food contamination and frequent disease transmission from animal to human also poses challenges to food safety, indicating for all immediate needs to establish comprehensive measures to ensure the security and safety of world food. Some of the measures may include the new rush for land, responding to national international pressure. Both foreign and national investors are rushing to the acquire land in developing countries as a consequence of increasing concern about food supplies and future energy availability. An accelerated rate of land acquisition has been recorded in the last few years. What is needed is a better insight into a phenomenon with an understanding of the impact on countries, effects on the livelihood of the people, trade-offs, food security, and ecosystem services. Measures like assessment of on realized social, economic, and environmental impact of land deals before their finalization could prevent the implementation of the host country. Issue related to biodiversity loss. Recent researches have shown that biodiversity is closely intertwined with many other aspects of society and nature. There exists strong linkage between biodiversity and environmental issues, impact of climate changes on ecosystem, interaction between ecosystem and the water cycle. Also, there exists an interrelation between biodiversity and economics. Valuation of ecosystem services, the role of biodiversity, and underpinning economic activities. Therefore, it is time to understand importance of biodiversity via human survival and integrating the issues of biodiversity into global environment. An issue related to urban housing, infrastructure, and urban sustainability. Sustainability in the case of cities includes both quality and environmental within the cities, and that cities residents have to live within, and environmental changes caused by cities outside of their boundaries. However, none of the two aspects is particularly sustainable. The solution lies in developing green cities or eco-cities, which differs from conventional cities in that they are more compact, have a vital mix of land use within their boundaries. Adopting eco-friendly alternatives, renewable means of energy consumption in pursuit to find solutions to climate change, the world looks increasingly towards renewable energy. So we have to change from our current sources of energy to renewable sources of energy like solar energy, wind energy. Then only we can attain sustainable development. Then minimizing the risk of new technology and chemicals. So we live in an age where society first invent new technology and produce chemicals, and then later they tries to evaluate their impact. So the latest example are the question raised application of AI, stem cell therapy, synthetic biology, and nanotechnology. Because all these technology are very new, we don't know what are the consequences. If some of you would have seen the movie The Terminator, then you can know what AI can do. How robots took control of the world and started killing humans. If that becomes the scenario, then we should be thinking first, then before acting. So, before releasing these chemicals to the environment, we should first check for their risk factor, then only we should release them. An issue pertaining with handling of electrical waste. See, nowadays it is one of the most common problem. We are using so much electronics things from like our smart watches, our laptops, mobile phones, calculators. Every day in our day-to-day life, we are full of electronic things. And once they become old, we throw them improperly. So handling and managing this waste is also a big deal now. How this waste will be managed. Okay. And how to recover metals from e-waste and metallic waste generated. These practices perhaps prepares many contribute in reducing the extraction and depletion of mineral resources. In waste from nuclear reactor, we know that nuclear reactor is also very important for energy production, but the waste coming out of nuclear reactors have many harmful effects. Okay, so and because they are radioactive, so inside the fact that there is a dearth of skilled personnel to handle these operations, the country the count of plants demanding decommissioning will double in a span of next 10 years. However, after Fukushima nuclear accident March 2011, some countries have started to think of shutting down their nuclear installations. Okay, but shutting down is not the solution. We should find way how to decommission these properly. So what are the main challenges in attending SDGs? Is what do you mean by implementation of SDGs? How can we protect against failure and strengthening the odds that we could attain the sustainable and just future in the SDGs? So, following four key challenges. First is strengthening of governance. Any are likely to fail unless far more attendant in giving the addressing governance challenge crucial to their implementation. If government is not taking steps, then SDGs can never be implemented. Second is bringing together various players at the right time and in the right place. So in a broader sense, government refers to how society make decisions and take action. It is about the mechanism we use to work together in society to solve shared problems. For the SDGs, this involves considering how government, business, non-government organizations, civil society, and researchers will work together. Unless we begin to think now about governments in the context of SDGs, they too will fail in achieving their ambitious goals. Third is need and will to make difficult trade-offs, along with many co-benefits among the SDGs, where addressing one goal helps addressing others. At the same time, there will also be trade-offs. It is crucial to recognize that difficult choices will also need to be made that may involve winners and losers, at least in the short term. For example, if forests are cut down to expand agricultural products for food security, biodiversity could be threatened. Similarly, food security could be threatened if food crops are switched to biofuel production for energy security. Likewise, water security could be threatened by decision to intensify or expand agriculture or to build hydropower for energy security and to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. So each of these issues have many competing stakeholder interests attached to them. Achieving the SDGs will require national governments and the private sectors. The non-profit sectors and the community to make different decisions based on the thoughtful and genuine community to the SDGs. Unless there is a strong willingness to do so, the SDGs is being pushed to backseat. Fourth mechanism at a different level, national government for ensuring responsibility and accountability for action. Different indicators and ways of monitoring and evaluating progress on SDGs, largely at the national scale, may be of some help in directing of accountability. We need to measure both inputs, that is, did nation X invested with what they said they were going to invest in addressing issues A, B, and C, as well as outcomes. That is, did we actually achieve our goal to eradicate poverty, improve health, and provide access to water, food, and energy in national aid? And SDGs in Indian context. India's development path is intertwined with investments in social infrastructure and the country's march towards achieving sustainable development goals in the firmly anchored in investing in natural human capital and inclusive growth. For a country like India, strong social infrastructure is key to achieve them. If India has to achieve SDGs, then it is necessary to have a strong social infrastructure base. India government has been focusing on providing assets to many such as school, colleges, higher learning centers, the hospital, access to sanitation, water supply, road connectivity, affordable housing, skills and livelihood opportunities. India half of population is below the age of 20 and thus India is home to world's youngest population. This demographic dividend can be reaped only if education, skill and development or employment opportunity are provided to the young population. Keeping in view gender equality (SDG), the Indian government has initiated several programs including Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao to mainstream women and make them active agents of changes in society. So in order to evaluate the working of SDGs in India, emphasis should be laid on evaluating of various schemes and the role played by government as well as private sector in developing partnership, regularly audit and verification of claims by private business groups, which issues various grants and rebates of different kinds from the government. An evaluation agency should comprise members from NITA Ayog. Niti Ayog represents government, civil social member and member from local communities. Then the last unit of this block, sustainable business. So here we'll explore the meaning and importance of sustainable business or green business. Okay. In the pursuit of profit maximizing, the environment must not be degraded and all efforts must be made to see that the business practices are sustainable in the long run. So we'll be able to explain the meaning and significance of sustainable business, describe different components such as environmental, social and political, cultural, legal and constitutional of sustainable business, explain the meaning and importance of eco-efficiency, explain the relevance of green consumerance, vice versa, or sustainable business, describe the meaning of product stewardship, define green engineering, extend producer responsibility, prepare a business charter for sustainable production and consumption. Meaning and signature of sustainable business. Follows the three gain strategy. It strives to preserve environment and use natural resources that can be replenished. It supports employees' welfare and builds social equity. It promotes growth with a view to maximize long-term profitability. So sustainable business endeavors to follow the concept often referred to as the triple point line. This is the place equal emphasis on planet, people and profit, which means that there should be equal emphasis on the three entities. In other words, business is not expected to make profit at the cost of environmental, planet and society people. In fact, definition of sustainable business may vary depending on the field. For example, sustainable Business should follow the concepts such as organic farming, permaculture and urban horticulture. A sustainable manufacturing business is expected to be based on opinion, optimum use of natural resources such as oil, gas, ore, forest, energy efficient infrastructure, minimization of greenhouse gases and waste management. In retail, emphasis in place on minimizing packaging waste, optimum energy use in store, eco-friendly logistics and recycling of old products. Sustainable business has several inherited advantages by employing eco-friendly technologies and cutting down on wastage in energy, resources and employee time. It generates significant annual savings. It attracts modern investors, new customers and media as they appreciate eco-friendly and cost-saving measures. It creates new jobs such as in the field of solar energy and wind energy, energy efficient construction, recycling technology, etc. It attracts and retains highly qualified employees as they appreciate ethical approaches of the business. So components of sustainable business. The sustainable business, environmental system, eco-efficiency, green consumerization, product stewardship, then social subsystems, political subsystem, cultural subsystem, legal and constitution subsystem. First is environmental system. Environmental protection is one of the core priorities of sustainable business. Okay, the World Commission on Environment and Development, Brundtland Commission published a report in 1998 entitled Our Common Future, in which the importance of environmental protection is pursuit of sustainable business has been emphasized. So we should do business not at the cost of destroying the environment, but first priority should be our to save the environment. So the sustainable business does not overexploit natural resources, does not contribute to excessive accumulation of waste by the society, does not cause physical degradation of nature, does not create conditions that obstruct meeting the basic human needs worldwide, does not create technologies that may destroy the society itself. Then social subsistence. Ulrich Beck 1992 in his book Risk Society Towards a New Modernity described that society suffered environmental and health related consequences due to industrial intensity technology without carrying up the resultant pollution. So however, late in the last century, the concept of reflexive modernization developed, which means that the society possesses the ability to self-replicate by responding to the industrial-induced environmental degradation that jeopardize ecological balance, vice versa society integrity. So, risk society, existing technology, new technology for sustainable development, social reflexes, and participation in change. So, all these are interrelated. Political subsystems, world politics as well as politics of the particular country play a vital role in the environmental management of sustainable business. Okay, so the United Nations Conference on Environment and Development held in Rio 1992 to recognize cognizance at the highest political level of the imperative of environmental management for sustainable development. Some of these decisions are to make international trade and environment policy mutually supportive in favor of sustainable development, to encourage international productivity and competitiveness and encourage a constructive role on the part of industry in dealing with environment and development issues, integrating environment and development at the policy, planning and management level, providing an effective and regulatory framework, protecting of the atmosphere as a broad and multidimensional endeavor, energy development, efficiency and consumption, sustain the multi-role and functional of all types of forest, land and woodland, generating and strengthening knowledge about the ecology and sustainable development of mountain ecosystem, promoting integrated watershed development and alternative livelihood opportunities, environmental and sound management of toxic chemicals and hazardous waste. So in a series of such agreements at the international level, Paris Agreement on Climate Change adopted on December 12 is the latest one. The political subway ensures the following conditions. It has a key objective to create a sustainable society. It passes the law oriented towards pursuing a sustainable society. It safeguards the control of enforcement of past laws. In India, the central government formed comprehensive law for the protection of the environment under the Indian Environmental Act Protection Act 1986. It covers all sorts of pollution affecting water, land, air and water, air and land. Besides, there is a host of law for the protection of environmental passed by the state government. And the cultural subsystem, cultural comprehensive specialized behavior pattern, understanding adaptation, social custom, practices by a group of people. It is a multifaceted concept that includes certain traits such as language, technology used to make a living. The legal and constitutional subsystem. As mentioned earlier, in the political subsystem, India now has a host of legislation for protecting the environment and maintaining the ecological balance. So in the Indian Constitution, there are specific provisions under the chapter of directive principle of state policy and fundamental duties for the protection of the environment. Article 48A states that the state will endeavor to protect and improve the environment and to safeguard the forests and wildlife of the country. Article 51A clause G deals with the fundamental duties of the citizen. It states it shall be the duty of every citizen of India to protect and improve the natural environment, including forests, lakes, rivers, and wildlife, and to have compassion for living creatures. Then eco-efficiency, the concept of eco-efficiency was defined for the first time in 1993 at the first Antwerp workshop on eco-efficiency as being reached by the delivery of the competitively priced goods and services that satisfy human needs and bring quality of life while progressively reducing ecological impact and resource intensification. First is reducing the material intensity of goods and services, reducing the energy intensity of goods and services, reducing toxic dispersion, enhance material recyclability, maximizing sustainable use of renewable resources, extending the durability of products, increase the service intensity of goods and services. So United Nations UNEP and WBCSD have decided to work together to disseminate the concept of clear production and eco-efficiency. The comprehensive document was prepared by these two organizations, joint and released at the annual meeting of the United Nations Commission on Sustainability. First is company culture. Top management should adopt a business vision of eco-efficiency and translate it into action. Training. Industries have a role in training the professional working in the industry. Reconnaissance. It is necessary to identify threats and opportunities that may affect business. Management tools, a number of them, such as environmental assessment, life cycle analysis, environmental accounting methods, can help business identify and select opportunity for improvement. R&D for eco-efficiency. R&D directed progress, changes and products improvement can lead to higher value products and reduce environmental impact. Designed for eco-efficiency, it can improve energy material requirements for manufacturing and for primary and especially secondary uses. Production and eco-efficiency companies should pay closer attention to energy use and emission, for they can bring win-win opportunities. Purchasing and marketing for eco-efficiency, adopting specific procurement purchasing policies require suppliers to apply sustainable development practices will avoid companies buying waste and subsequent polluted problems. After-sale services, companies should recognize that their responsibility and potential liability does not end with the sale, and that after-sale services can even add extra value, closing the loop by extending responsibility through the life cycle claim in order to ensure total production and service stewardship. Then green consumerism. Green consumerism may be defined as the behavior of a consumer who purchase and use the eco-friendly product with no or lower environmental harmful impact, even if the products are more costly. But it is only possible when you are rich. Okay. So thus green consumers act ethically while making purchase. He is motivated by the welfare of the entire society and takes into account the environmental consequences resulting from his or her private consumption. Green consumers, for example, prefer biodegradable products, recycle or reduce packaging, and low energy usage. Green consumerism may be called a philosophy involved decision such as using less energy, consuming electrical appliances, buying car that emits less carbon dioxide, consuming organic fruits and vegetables. Two categories. First category concerns the behavior related to less energy consumption, which is called as punctuation behavior, while the second category comprises buying decisions that are called green. Purchase behavior. Punctuation behavior includes lesser use of private cars, temporary reduction of heating appliances, and reducing water and electrical consumption. These issues are related with changes of personal habits to do not require spending extra money. On the other hand, green purchase behavior may require to spend some extra money at the initial stage. Some examples. This category are insulating homes with new material to reduce loss of heat, cooling, buying CFL bulbs, purchasing energy efficient vehicles, etc. Then product stewardship is one of the strategies following for the environmental management. It can be defined as the understanding, controlling, and communicating a product's effect on environment, health, and safety throughout its life cycle, right from its production to final disposal or reuse. In practice, every product suffers from environmental degradation and health risks. However, by following stewardship principle, harmful effects can be minimized. Thus, according to the modern definition, product stewardship is the shared responsibility of all those involved in the life cycle of a product to minimize its adverse environmental health and safety impact. For an effective production stewardship, some guidelines. First is shared responsibility. All stakeholders, namely industries, manufacturers, distributors, and retailers, government and consumers should share the responsibility of managing the product safety throughout its life cycle. Life cycle cost, the product's life cycle cost from manufacturing cost to reducing managing health and environmental impact and managing its disposal or recycling at the end should be indicated in the total product cost. A product take-back program. A product take-back program should be in place in case the product is found to cause health and environmental hazards. There should be take-back agents of the company for accepting the product at the end of its life cycle, and the company should manage its safe disposal. Dissemination of knowledge. The manufacturer should disseminate full knowledge about the product hazards and precautions to be followed while using it. This information should circulate through the entire supply chain, including distributors, retailers, consumers, and waste handlers. Teamwork. The product stewardship, manufacturing, marketing, research, legal, health, and environmental, public affairs, etc. should work in unison so that risks can be characterized and controlled. Then role of government. Government is expected to encourage the practices of product stewardship through technical assistance, program evaluation, training, market development, coordination, and by addressing regular barriers and wherever necessary, invoking regular incentives and disincentives. Then green energy, the concept of green energy is closely related to the sustainable business. It can be defined as a process and design of producing in a manner that conserves natural resources, decreases pollution to the minimum, reduces exposure to hazards and protects human health and environment. The term green energy is used in the concept of number of products such as house, auto vehicles, consumer goods, electrical, electronic appliances. 12 principles of green energy. First is inheritance rather than circumstantial. Design need to be strived to ensure that all materials and energy input and output are inherently non-hazardous as possible. Prevention instead of treatment. It is better to prevent waste than to treat or clean up waste after it is formed. Design for separation. Separation and purification operations should be designed to minimize energy consumption and materially maximize efficiency. Product processes and systems should be designed to maximize mass, energy, space, and time efficiency. Output pull versus input push. Product processes and systems should be output pull rather than input push. So the use of energy and material. Then conserve complexity. Embedded entropy and complexity must be viewed as an investment when making decisions, choice of recycling, reuse, or beneficial disposition. Durability rather than immortality. Target durability, not immortality, should be a design goal. Meet need, minimize excess. Some design for unnecessary capacity and or capability, example one size fits all. Solutions should be considered as design flaws. Minimize material diversity. Material diversity in multi-component products should be minimized to promote disassembly and valuable retention. Then integrated material and energy flows. Design of products, processes, and system must include integration and interconnectivity with available energy and material flow. Design for commercial afterlife. Products, processes, and systems should be designed for performance in a commercial afterlife. Then renewable rather than depletion. Material and energy input should be renewed rather than depleted. So all these 12 goals or conditions should be taken into consideration when we are considering for a green engineering. Extended producer responsibility. EPR is defined as strategy of making the manufacturer of the product responsible for its appropriate disposal at the end of its life cycle. Like we give our old battery while buying a new one, so it becomes the responsibility of the company that the proper disposal of the battery takes place. Like we exchange our phone, so this should always be there so that the product is well managed, not mismanaged. This responsibility liability refers to the responsibility for proven environmental damage caused by the co-production in question. The extent of liability is determined by the law and many embrace different parts of the life cycle of the product, including usage and final disposal. Financial responsibility means that a product will cover all or part of the cost, for example, the collection, recycle, or final disposal of the product is manufacturing. Then physical responsibility, use of characteristic system where the manufacturer is involved in the actual physical management of the product or of the effects of the product. Then informative responsibility requires producer to supply information on the environmental properties of the product he is manufacturing. Then business charters, the general document submitted by the chief operative of the company to state government indicating the purpose, location, and duration of the business and classes of shares. Business charter is also known as a corporate charter or article of incorporation. The key ingredient is executive summary, mission statement, and company background. Then product description, market analysis, project timeline, and staff profile. So the characteristics of good business charter are: it is written in a simple and easy flow language with a thorough check of the grammar and spelling. The figure and specific points are highlighted in the form of bulleted text. It is made attractive with appropriate graphs and bar diagrams. In fact, it is the initial blueprint of the company. Business charter for sustainable production and consumption. Production and consumption are two related activities. What is produced is consumed, and what is consumed must be produced. So sustainable production, sustainable consumption, and sustainable development are interrelated and form a triangle. This is the triangle. Sustainable development, sustainable production, and sustainable consumption are all interrelated. So sustainable development can be achieved through sustainable production and consumption. So sustainable production and consumption is concerned with the optimum energy efficiency, sustainable infrastructure, reducing economic, environmental, and social costs. Sustainable consumption was for the first time defined as 994, and sustainable consumption are use of the service and related products which responds to basic needs and brings a better quality of life while minimizing the use of natural resources and toxic material, as well as emission of waste and pollutants over the life cycle of the service or product, so as not to jeopardize the needs of future generations. Sustainable development as a business priority, it includes recognizing of business contribution, building awareness and understanding among different stakeholders, integrating of sustainability with the various activities, and governing business with integrity and ethics. Including economic growth and development, it comprises promoting of business practices, directing towards sustainable development, encouraging efficient and cost-effective policies, and decoupling economic activities from adverse environmental impact. Environmental responsibility and management, it emphasizes on implementation effective environmental management to avoid or minimize adverse effects and maximize resource efficiency of all natural products, particularly water, energy, and soil. Responsibility towards people and society, it concerns recognition of human rights, skill development, and understanding social impact of business, products and services. It emphasizes on the need of developing such products and services which are safe and compliant with laws and regulation and make minimum adverse environmental impact. In value chain approaches, it is expected that awareness about the sustainable products and service pre-correlated through the whole value chain, including suppliers, distributors, retailers, and consumers. Transparency, communication, and reporting. The business objectives are set and initiated risk and opportunity are assessed. Collaboration and partnership for continuous improvement. There are efforts for continuous improvement through collaboration with other business, research institute, government, and even consumers. At the same time, trust is fostered between business and its various stakeholders. So these are all the points related to principle for business charter for achieving sustainable development. Okay, that ends this block. Any doubts you can ask me.
Okay, so afterlife.
Hello?
Yes, sir. I was searching one underline with one point you are written afterlife. That point I'm searching. I will ask you tomorrow.
You can ask me now also. You'll ask me tomorrow.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Hello?
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay,
Tomorrow
okay,
I'll ask.
fine. Okay. No issues. Tomorrow you can ask at the beginning. Any other who is having any doubts? Which what we discussed today? Anyone? Any doubts? Please ask. Okay, if nobody is having any doubts, then we should end it here. Thank you all for your patience.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, good night. Good night to all.
Yes, sir.
Good night. Welcome. Kushpurya madam, if you have any doubts, you can ask. We have ended the block. So as no one is coming, nobody has doubts, so I think we should end the class here. Thank you all. So I'm ending the class here.